Well, just like we talked about after the game, we got a lot of things to work on. I guess if anything, it's a good thing it happened now. It gives us a lot of things to work on. A good wake-up call. And you better believe we'll come back. Starting Monday with practice, turning things around. We'll be ready. I think a lot of it was we weren't mentally prepared. It's hard when going from last year you get ranked second to last in the Mountain West. You have something to prove, and I think it kind of got to our heads being ranked third this year. I think we kind of took advantage of that. So we got to play with a chip on our shoulder like we did last year, and we're going to turn things around.
Just think you guys can never get things rolling at all.
No, there's lack of energy, big time. Couldn't get back in transition, couldn't guard somebody, and most of all couldn't make a shot. So that's just a lack of energy on our part.
Is that pretty stunning that you can bring that energy when they just got pounded, Utah last night, and they seem to have a little more?
I don't think them playing last night has anything to do with it. When you have a game, they're going to have energy. Everyone should have energy when a game comes. And I think, if anything, that game last night helped them. Getting beat like that, they're coming in here, thinking they're going to do better. They got things to work on too, and they came in and improved from last night and got one here.
Over the course of the game, did you feel like you were just going to put it together and go for it? At what point did you realize that you're in a battle and you're going to have to really step it up?
Yeah, I think, especially from last year, we had a lot of games like this where, just couldn't get it together the first half, and we came out in the second half and got it together, and for some reason we just couldn't get it together the whole game, so that hurt.
So I think it was one little stretch, especially in the second half, where you had some opportunities, just clawed back a little bit, and then just missed yourself. Some others too missed free throws that just couldn't quite really ever get it really just going at all.
Yeah, just a huge lack of inconsistency. That's something that we need to work on.
Besides the mental aspect of it, was there something specific on the court that you took from it, or is it really just a lack of energy?
It's lack of effort, lack of energy. They out-toughed us. They came here ready to play. We weren't. It's that simple.
How did you feel about the shots you got? Obviously, you missed a lot of them, but were they good shots, or were they not good at from that doing?
I think, not just for myself, but for everybody, those are shots we usually make. I mean, we led the league last year in field goal percentage, so that's not like us to miss that many shots. So it's just, again, a lack of effort, lack of confidence.
Hats off to Monterey Bay. I thought their guys were enthusiastic, passionate, well coached, and really did a great job executing their game plan. Played well, played hard, really outplayed us at every position statistically. Outplayed us at every position as far as passion and enthusiasm, and just did a tremendous job. Outcoached us, outplayed us, out everythinged us. So one of those things where a good lesson learned, unexpected lesson when you have a lot of experience returning. But on the other hand, a lot of things you get exposed and problems you need to fix and solve, and so that's what next week will be all about.
So it just seemed like even on the bench, just a lack of this wasn't enthusiasm.
Just really a flat, emotional performance, and wish I had an answer for that. Obviously that's my job, to get the team ready emotionally, physically, mentally, to come play exhibition game, regular season game, and don't really understand that one, but that's something we need to get to the bottom of.
You kind of mentioned too, last year you guys had struggled at times in the first half, but were able to put together the second half, but it just never clicked.
Never clicked, and we just, when you turn the ball over so many times, when you shoot so many bad shots that basically are like turnovers, and you're playing against a team that runs out as well as Monterey Bay does, that's a bad sign, and not going to be a good result. And it wasn't, and offensively, we just could not string more than 1 or 2, 3 or 4 minute sessions there that were pretty good. together. We settled for quick shots, settled for bad shots, played out of character a little bit. And, really other than David in the second half got a little going in the post, nobody else really got anything going rhythm-wise. Just not a good performance at all, but really by anybody offensively.
David was the only player that actually shot over 50%. Was it just bad shots?
Really bad shot selection, and that's something we pride ourselves on here, is taking high percentage shots, making a high percentage of our shots, playing from inside out, and I thought that was something we didn't do. We like I said, shot a lot of early shots, a lot of guarded shots, and then you never get your rhythm, and when you have open shots, you miss those too because you have no rhythm, and you are playing out of character, and it kind of snowballs. And what I told the players I was disappointed about is the lack of, when it's not going great offensively and you are shooting yourself in your foot a little, then you got to kind of pick yourself up by the bootstraps on the defensive end and force some turnovers, force some misses, get some runouts, get some easy shots. And I didn't think our effort was good enough at that end of the floor either.
There was a number of times when they had offensive rebounds, and there was 2 or 3 times, particularly when they got fast break scores or fouls off of made shots by your team.
No question, yeah. And that's something we emphasized. Obviously not good enough, that they're a team that likes to run on made and miss. And defensive transition has been an issue for us, in practice for a couple weeks, and it's something we've addressed, and obviously we don't have we don't have that solved yet. So we've got to make a huge area. Our defense has actually been pretty good when we can get back and put the defense together, but you have to be able to get back, get matched up. And they were subbing 3 or 4 at a time, and a few times we got cross-matched where one of our guys was going to the boards and one of their guys was running out, and we got stung on that a couple times, just with matchups that weren't correct. That's something we can correct when we shorten our rotation a little bit, and get matched up a little better. But it starts with transition. You've got to be able to get your defense put together before you try to guard anybody. And if you can't, it's a long night.